This year, I've been learning a lot about business, not in a hustle way, more in a survival way. If you understand business, you give yourself a better chance of staying in business. And if I'm honest, there's always a fear that any creative career could disappear faster than you expect. One company I keep coming back to as a case study is Fender. And this isn't really about guitars, it's more like my Blue Note experiment. I wanted to look closely at a company that's completely different from me. I'm a singer, songwriter, performer. They're a guitar manufacturer. What interests me isn't the product itself, but how the company understands musicians. Fender has managed to be everywhere without feeling cheap, and prestigious without feeling exclusionary. That isn't an accident. That's very much design. And at the very bottom of their range sits Squire, affordable, accessible, forgiving, a guitar that exists for one reason only, to help people begin. Fender doesn't ask beginners who they are yet. There's no demand for loyalty, taste, or identity. Just one question. Can your fingers make a sound? Welcome in. And crucially, that beginner guitar looks like the dream. Same shape, same mythology. You're not buying a knockoff. You're buying into a lineage. Fender understands that the first emotional bond matters more than the first purchase price. Then comes the slow climb. Player series, American models, vintage reissues. Each step isn't about status, it's about care. As players invest more time and identity into music, Fender gives them instruments that reward that attention. Better feel, more nuance, fewer compromises. There's no shame in staying where you are, and no pressure to move up before you're ready. Then at the top sits the custom shop, and it's not really about better guitars, but more about meaning, story, specificity. These instruments aren't for everyone, and Fender never pretends they are. They exist to say we still care deeply about the details, even if only a few people ever notice. And musicians often worry that accessibility cheapens their work. Fender proves the opposite. Accessibility builds trust. Trust builds longevity. Longevity creates room for depth. Free videos, approachable songs, simple explanations, behind-the-scenes content. That isn't selling out, that's the on-ramp. A way in, a way to let people fall in love without fear. And then come the deeper layers, albums, live shows, Patreon, courses, communities. Each layer serves a different level of commitment, not just a higher price. And the real question isn't, how much can I charge? It's, who is this actually for right now? There are things that don't scale, high-touch work, small rooms, deliberately intimate moments. Those are the master-built moments, not because they're outrageously expensive, but because they're personal, unique. There's one more idea that sits right at the center of this, and it's become very clear to me through releasing this next album and through the feedback I've been getting. We've been told very clearly that our music is worth almost nothing. To people like Daniel Ek and the system he represents, a song is worth fractions of a cent. A track you've poured emotional and creative energy into is valued at close to zero. But that number isn't a law of nature, it's a business decision. And when I look at something like Guitar Dreams, or at other markets entirely, that becomes obvious. No one needs a $5,000 guitar. No one needs a luxury guitar retreat. These aren't survival purchases. They're choices. People decide what something is worth to them based on meaning, identity, experience, and care. Luxury doesn't mean unnecessary. It means intentional. I'm massively into watches, and the logic is exactly the same there. A luxury product isn't a sellout move. It's how the world already works. There are tiers, and creativity is allowed to live in those tiers too. Think about fine art. You can't use a painting. You can't eat it. You just look at it. And yet one painting is worth nothing, while another is worth millions. The difference isn't utility, it's story, context, trust, and belief. So when I sell a CD, for some people, that is a luxury product, and I'm going to treat it that way. a physical object, hand-signed, personal, an experience, not just a file. And honestly, that project is already going beautifully. So thank you for supporting it. If you hand your music entirely to the industry as it exists right now, it's worth nothing. That's the deal on offer. But if you take ownership, you get to decide the terms. People can say no. No one has to buy anything, and that matters. The people who do choose to buy are choosing to be part of something. That's what luxury really is, not exclusion, but alignment. It's inclusive in the only way that matters. You decide what you value. You decide what you invest in. As a listener, as a supporter, as someone who wants things to feel human again. Over the last 6 months, I've been quietly thinking about what this looks like in my own world. I don't have a finished idea to announce. I'm not opening anything new. I just wanted to share the thinking because sometimes it helps to shape the question before rushing to answer it. For now, the priorities stay the same. But there is one moment I really do want to talk about because it genuinely sits at the very top of the spectrum. And it's a guitar retreat called Guitar Dreams. And it's happening this August. Last year, I went up to Scotland to be part of the first event. I performed, I played, I spent time with everyone who attended. Their partners were there too. And it turned into one of the most meaningful creative experiences I've had in a very long time. Getting like-minded people in a room is always powerful, but this was something else. The location alone feels unreal. Cameron House on the edge of Loch Lomond. This isn't a typical guitar camp. It's a place where serious players come together to share ideas, perform live, and push what's possible on the instrument. There are intimate masterclasses, including a songwriting workshop from yours truly, and conversations that stretch far beyond technique. I'll also be performing my own songs, including a champagne cruise performance on Loch Lomond itself, followed by a grand finale concert and a private closing celebration. The lineup still feels unreal to say out loud. Eric Johnson will be there, a Grammy Award-winning virtuoso and the mind behind Cliffs of Dover. Greg Koch, Guthrie Trapp, Robbie McIntosh, who has been a hero of mine for as long as I've played guitar. His playing genuinely changed how I hear the instrument, and last year I even actually got to share the stage with him. There are many more incredible musicians involved, and I'm excited to be there, teaching, playing, and spending real time together. And last year I shared the stage with people like Earl Slick, Larry Carlton, and Robin Ford, and ended the weekend with a performance alongside Robbie McIntosh. It was totally unforgettable. But it wasn't just the music. It really, really was the place. Mornings began with coffee overlooking the water. The evenings stretched long into the night with conversations by the fire and spontaneous jam sessions. It wasn't a guitar camp. It was like a creative reset for me. And this year they're doing it again. 4 nights at Cameron House. And there are only 25 places in total. And right now, just 5 spots remain. There will be concerts, group sessions, one-on-one moments, and the whole experience will be documented. I'll, of course, be filming parts of it for my channel, capturing the performances and the quiet moments in between like I did last year. And if you've ever wanted to learn, create, and spend time together in person, not just through a screen, well, there's a link in the description where you can learn more and reserve a place. This is music as a luxury experience. It isn't for everyone, but it is for the right people. And for me, this feels like a custom shop master-built moment. Personal, intentional, deeply exciting. If that speaks to you, I'd love to see you there. Join us on Loch Lomond, and I'll see you in Scotland. But otherwise, I imagine you will have a lot to say in the comments below. So I can't wait to read what you write. And of course, I'll be seeing you here again very, very soon.